Look at you, grown being, early bird, get the worm. Morning, y'all. Good morning, Kim. I hope your dad feels better. Sending all the healing. We've made it to another day. I had a baby bird on my patio this morning, y'all. And it's very interesting because this happened a few years ago, and I swear it was the same type of bird. Could have been the same bird. I'm gonna do some research, but it actually was like making noises like one of my birds, and I was like, wait, what? But it was cool. I think he realized when I came out there. When I opened up the curtain this morning, I was like, wait, what? And I seen him jumping around in the patio, and he was like, oh, shit. And then when I went out there, he was like, oh, you're not trying to harm me. And I'm like, no, no, I will guide you out. And he flew out and he landed on my neighbor's house. He got out pretty fast. I swear it's the same bird. It was like, it felt like the same experience. But he flew out to my neighbor's house and then he like looked back at me and was like making these noises. I'm like, okay, have a good day. I dropped some seed over there. Yes, Jesse, it was live. I mean, the unfortunate of finding an animal that is unalive is never any fun for anyone that loves animals. But spiritually, it's like the death tarot card. Like it doesn't mean all the bad things are happening. A morning, you have a good Monday too. You working today? You may have heard this story, but I think I told it on live. A few years ago, I found a blue jay outside on the ground. Very, very sad. Um, it like reminded me of like some childhood trauma shit. But I was like, okay, this could be symbolic. It could be sad. It could be mixture of things. But I always say it's like intuitional, and what's going on in your life. I'm assuming the bird's not still out there, right, Jesse? But I cried like a baby. You're asking about the blue jay that I found? This was actually like years ago. I want to say like 5+ years ago. Yeah, it's unfortunate, you know. It was like the circle of life. But no, it didn't represent that. I feel like that's what a practical minded person may think. But that's not how I felt. I honestly felt like it was like making me go back through past experiences of how I was going to handle this one. Well, did you get an eerie feeling when you seen it, or was it just like, does this mean something? And that's usually my first thought is like, this means something. Good morning, Nat. Welcome back. Welcome back. You had a good weekend? How was utility work, Jesse? Which could be a silly question. Sorry, y'all. Yeah, what's going on with the football games? Is it nearing now, like towards the end? Yeah, we are aware of the cycle of things, you know, the practical minded side of us. And I think there's beauty in everything, even when things feel like they may not be that way. But symbolically, I mean, if it's in your yard, I feel like it's like new beginnings, or to like even awaken you for XYZ reason to be more aware. I mean, I feel like the definition varies with what's going on in our own lives, but it doesn't have to mean literal like sadness. It could be a transition. Yeah, I'm sensitive to that as well, but I also think that there's like rebirth in everything. Did they give you pizza and salad again or no? To also think though, sometimes those sightings are so rare. Like it's not something that happens every waking moment, you know? But as always, I feel like it is what you feel when you see something. But if you're not like spiritually driven into thinking that it's not what's the practical mind thinking, then you may not view it that way, of course. Yeah, so Nat's stoked. The Brits are stoked. So, how many teams are left? I have no clue. Well, I hope you do have a smooth and easy day at the desk. You're in for 12 hours today. Is it 12 hours every time you work? Yeah, and I mean, sometimes it doesn't have to be an emotion. I think like empaths may feel emotions more than others at times, especially depending on how you feel about animals in general. And I don't know if it's always rational. I don't know if I would choose that word personally because society will make you think things are rational when it's not. Because if you go and have this conversation with someone else, they're like, it's a bird. And it's like, I don't know. Not how I'm feeling about it. Yeah, I think most people would be, but a transition is never easy no matter what it is. I've been meaning to pull up this thing. I think it's on my iPad, but it's like a screenshot of transitioning essentially because it's not always what humans think it is. Humans in this like physical world brings a lot of sadness. Like how could it not? Um, but it's more than what meets the eye because we have been like so, I don't want to say brainwashed. We've been so like convinced that that's it and that's the chapter of it, even though, we go down the religion, spiritual rabbit hole, that's not exactly it. But because we are like almost programmed to think that, it doesn't mean that we're not allowed to have emotions for those things. But like it'd be scary if you didn't. And sometimes the emotions come later, or the understanding of XYZ may not be presented right then and there, but comes full circle in another situation. Like you may see that exact bird later on your mailbox, as an example, alive and well. And do you remember the other bird, or do you just think it's coincidence that the same type of bird is at your house again? I feel like the more open you are to the signs of the universe is the more you're going to be willing to see and understand as well. I'm talking about orbs, Nat. Honestly, don't. I have many things with like there's I'm like I have so many things to say to that. There's I feel like there's orbs everywhere. There one time at church, this lady gave me a bunch of different like jackets, like different clothes. Actually, she's like, I have some clothes that maybe you would like, and she brought me some clothes. And I went home later that day. I remember I like did something, so I didn't go home immediately, but I went home and I was taking like a video later of what she gave me or something. And I don't know where that video is because I think I was still using my iPhone then. So it might be on my iPhone or it might be like Snapchat or something. I don't know. I remember there were tons and tons and tons of orbs. It was insane. And I ended up sending it to some of my peeps because I was like, oh my gosh, look at all these orbs. It was crazy. Um, if you're open for things, you see some beautiful things, and your practical mind and other people that aren't open to it will shut it down. So I always tell people don't listen to that. If you're experiencing something, you go talk to someone that is extremely practical minded or very, very religious and will not go past like the idea of magic. Then don't have a conversation with someone like that because then you're gonna feel shot down, or maybe you get grounded from that. It just depends on how you feel. But I feel like we do experience a lot of things that humans don't exactly talk about because they're brushed off as coincidences or weird or black magic stupid stuff. I actually have a folder on my old phone of angel signs and tons of orbs. That's really awesome, Nat. Especially because I feel like around your kids it's like a sign of protection from loved ones that have crossed over. There's one camera at my house that gets almost the same looking like symbolic thing. I've gotten a few screenshots. I actually came back last week and I was like I should get a screenshot of this. But I was like, you have the same screenshot. But I do think it's very interesting. Practical minded people would be like, it's the light, it's shining through, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, man, I'm not going to talk to you about it because you're going to dull the life experience. Um, and that's a personal opinion. But it's very telling for me that that same symbolic piece keeps reoccurring at that camera. And I've seen it numerous times. And I feel like these are like little like breadcrumbs to life to make us feel like we're not so alone. And then when you are open to these things, I feel like the angels rejoice and send even more signs because they're like, oh snap, they're listening. Let's see if they pick up on this one. I think he meant to say orbs, which is OBS. Yeah, orbs. Yep. They're like, yeah, they could be shining lights in a photo. It could be a gloss over the photo. It could be circles, it could be bubbles. It could be a light shining through a certain way, like I was just talking about. It could be many things. But when you capture something, some people will be like, "It's the lights, it's the sun," which I laugh at those because I'm like, "Oh well, we won't be having this conversation with you." Or I'll still play around and have those conversations. Like when my friend came to visit me last week, I didn't know that something had occurred in his life, and when he first got here, I was like, there was a butterfly dancing around in the garden with us. And I was like, I think you have a visitor. I'm like, I don't think it's my visitor per se, but I think it's your visitor. And fast forward, it was most definitely his visitor, and it had like a symbolic meaning entirely behind it. But he's open to like the spiritual realms, but he's more very scientific about things. So it's a little bit of an interesting conversation to have. But it was cool to like full circle some things with someone that may be more practical minded about things of like continuing or not. And I don't like the word practical mind with that specifically, but if you've only ever been taught one thing and you're only ever open to a few things, then when you see these type of spiritual experiences, your mind isn't probably thinking that they're spiritual if you've been shut off to it. No, it's okay. I knew what you meant. I knew what you meant, Nat. I knew immediately what you meant. It almost reminded me of crabs, but I was like, they're not crabs, but they could be. It's okay. We all do errors. I'm not a spelling bee winner by far, but if you'd have never heard of them or you don't know what they're called or whatever. I thought of crabs too, but I was like, oh, he means orbs. He's like, yeah, I got a bunch of crabs dancing with my kids. And that was them with their claws, by the way, dancing. That's cool that your wife's open to it. I don't know what I said, Jesse. If it was about orbs, I was saying that they're like usually signs. Most people take them as signs if you're open to it of a loved one tapping in or showing their presence or protection or energy. It's like a way to capture that past what meets the eye, because imagine the phone is usually capturing this, but maybe not the blind eye. It just depends on the experience, though. I personally feel like that we do, and we travel like almost like time travelers. I have some people that I tell, I'm like, when we cross over, let's meet at these spots and then go on adventures together, okay? I'm like, meet me at the fishing spots and then we'll go from there. But I do think orbs are like an energy. I do feel like they're like souls. I'm all about that stuff, y'all. Yeah, maybe we are the time travelers. Here's another thing to throw at the board. They say when you have a bunch of birthmarks, those represent past lives. And I feel like we've been here before. And that's where we have like deja vu moments. Or like moments of like, oh, I've seen this before, you know? Or where have I seen this before? Well, I feel like, your brain and your soul are different things. Do they operate together? Sometimes. But I do feel like I've said before, like we're prepping our soul here for how we will be in said afterlife, the heavens, whatever anyone wants to call it. So I always am constantly telling myself to prep my soul here now for for the future of like how I want to be in the afterlife, because in this life experience we're always learning lessons that make us understand this life a little bit more or not. It depends on who you are. Like what, spiritual experiences or life lesson experiences? What up, Parches? Why do you say Smurfs? Because of the blue? Apparently um, I can edit badges. I didn't realize that. I saw that the other day and I was like, oh, I'm out of here. I can't learn anything else right now. But I was like, oh, I can select badges. I just thought of that randomly when you said, well, I guess not randomly. I thought of that when you said Smurfs. Well, I mean, on a spiritual outlook, does the soul does the soul have these experiences with said like Jesus, God, infinite intelligence, whatever anyone wants to call it? Is that a soul experience or a life experience? Yeah, because we're the freshest thing from heaven at that point, and then life jades us, and you can decide to keep thinking that way, or you may come back. Um, because like there's even like videos of like children saying off the wall things from like loved ones from the other side. That, yeah, you may think, okay, they're just randomly saying that, but I would never think that because I'm like, no, kids are like the freshest thing from heaven. We're not jaded yet. You're still like experiencing that heavenly feel within you, and then how you're treated as a child and in life and through humans and stuff that starts to formulate where you go next on your spiritual journey, of course. You know, um, one of like these groups that I hang out with, there's children there, and it's a spiritual group, and the children are so telling because they're not being whispered these things from like said other person within the group. Like they're like just naturally being them and feeling things, and they don't know filters that much yet, and they're like literally just being God's creation, God's gifts, right? So I feel like there's no filter. Like they're just naturally experiencing these things without it almost getting stuck to you, even though it does when you get older and you tap into these experiences of like, oh wow, I did experience these as a child. And as a child, it just seemed pure and innocent and just natural. But as an adult, you start to think, okay, what was that? Or why did I experience that? Or what do I do with this? Y'all, I haven't had no coffee yet. So we about to jump right in. What up, Rom? You know, Hart says you about to open a can of worms. You ready? I don't know who's got the can opener. Jesse's probably already opening it, and Hart is about to come in there and speed open it. What up, B? Happy Monday. B, I forgot. What was your astrology sign? That's why I think it's interesting as humans. Like, is heaven a literal place or is it a state of mind? I know everyone's different, but I do feel confident that life continues. And I feel like I've seen what is my proof to know that, or my confidence in feeling that. And then I understand not everyone will feel that. And so you experience something. And even then, you know, we experience things and it's like humans will go try to brush them off as coincidences, or maybe you don't have a peer group that understands these feelings or thoughts or haven't dissected them. They just brush them off. And then maybe you come full circle where you're like, okay, there's way more than what meets the eye. And it becomes like a journey, almost like a treasure hunt. At least that's how I feel, to keep getting me through. Yes, Capricorn. All right, noted. But if you've ever noticed too, like a lot of parents that have experience, or if you've seen videos, or take time to maybe find some, or not, whatever. But some parents like will hear their children say off the wall things from like maybe a loved one that's crossed over. And some of them are open for it, and some of them are not. So then the child starts to remember that as well. And I feel like, you know, the last thing that God wants is his children being gaslighted for feeling the love and the energy from life continuing. Wait, what? I honestly don't know about the moon because there's so many rabbit holes with that. Barbecue. I'm like, it's early for me. I don't know about barbecue, but that probably is good for you over there. You got another job lined up? I don't. I got mixed feelings about the moon because, or space, because if this is something that we should all know about, and there are enough resources, why are there like not more like trips there, you know? And maybe there is and they don't talk about it, but we all know that's not where the aliens are. Come on now. Yeah, but not all humans do that. I think that's like a root system, right? Root of Jesse. I feel like it's a root system that brings us back to our roots, but a lot of people are outside of that. Or there's a lot of people that are in touch with that more so than even humans at this point because of how life is. I feel like even if you're not aware of like your spiritual journey, because we're all on one, if you're not aware of your spiritual journey, there's still things that are happening. You're just not acknowledging them because maybe you're not aware of it, you know? There's always things happening. What, Arches? Am I going to be on all day or forever? Oh, you eat your leftovers. That's what I thought I read. I don't know. Let me live a little bit longer here. I got some stuff I need to do and come back. I would say the usual, but kind of the usual. I don't really know. Hold on a second. No, Jesse, they're in the ocean. Are you too old? Are you an alien bee? I remember you said you were an adult. I just didn't remember the Capricorn part, but that makes sense when you said it though. Because I don't get tons and tons of Capricorns in here, but they've been sprinkling themselves in. I gotta go in a couple minutes too. I'm gonna charge my phone. I've been working through like a bin over here, so I need the bin. I got stuff I gotta do. Yeah, I feel like they are in the ocean. What do you think, B? What about you, Harches? Do you think they're in the ocean? You got less than 6 months until you about to be in your 40s. What are you gonna do? Big celebration? Okay, Harchens. That's the shortest you've ever been. I feel like they're in the ocean because they make all these trips to space, but I feel like every time they tell us something, it's almost the opposite or way more what's going on than they talk about. So in the ocean, there's only so much depths that you can get to, and only can be down there really for so long. Bama, what up? Bama, B's cool. No, Bama, what are you doing? No, B's cool. What are you doing? Bama, what are you doing? Unless you're gonna explain that. What up, Rim? What up, Farms? What up, Bama? You saying sheet? See, like, that one is, like, extreme. Happy Monday to y'all. Bama, calm your shit. So you don't think anything else exists? Sometimes I think that in my spiritual journey that these said aliens could be spiritual beings. And with anything, there's always good and bad. So it's hard to say with some of these experiences people have had from said aliens if they're real, you know? And then at the same time, they are real to some degree because of look at where we are. But are they communicating with spiritual being or an actual being in a body that is also a spiritual being because it's way more powerful than us? You got that MP3 player ready for him, Rim? Are you excited or nervous? It's gonna be good. And you say he's what, gonna turn into a man? It'll be fun for him. We gotta send him all the positive vibes in the universe. Yeah, I said calm your tits. Is Bama farting? Y'all smell it? They say who smelt it dealt it. Rim's got the nervous farts. Oh, Bunny needs all the music. Load it up, load it up. That's nice of you. Good morning, Cornelius. Happy Monday. You doing okay? I know, you walk outside and it's already brutal. It's crazy, B. I'm not sure, Harches. I believe it's getting crazy. Don't you start, Bama. You getting the train started over there? You about to go on the train too? Load 'em up. All aboard. Farms, how was the piggy market? I felt like there was other people from Ohio. Yeah. Yeah, enjoy and get some things done before it gets brutal out there. You need like an ice pack around in your shirt and then a towel in your around your neck. Oh, why? Was there not a lot of people there? Have you been there before with the pigs? Well, it can't be an utter bust because now you know. That's kind of how it is by a place by me too. But it's like a treasure hunt. Like sometimes you find some good people and then sometimes you don't. But it's like a wild card. So if anything, you learn a lesson. I wouldn't say don't go back. You never know. You are gonna find a bunch of little cheap shits, but at the same time, you know what you're doing and what you're trying to accomplish. You don't sell yourself short. Make room where you can adjust, maybe, depending on bargaining. As I always say that with myself flipping too. I'm like, well, if I put in this work of XYZ, and this depends. Obviously, this is an animal for you, and I'm just using an example of anything really. But whenever you put any XYZ work into something, especially taking care of and being there for, especially an animal, you know what you've put into that. But also, it could have been like heaven sent, where the little guys don't go to someone sheedy, you know. So I always wonder when things are a bust. Like, okay, well, what did I learn from here? Because when I started doing the auctions and stuff, people definitely don't always see what goes on the other side. They want to lowball you and etc. And then there's sometimes room for a little bit of bargain if you're trying to eat too. You know, you're like, wait a minute, I did pay XYZ for this. Use an example once again. It paid XYZ for this. Paying meaning financially, you actually put in the work because I know you're taking care of little souls over there. So you're like harvesting this stuff. So it's definitely more than just they pop out and you're sending them off. So you be honest about what you know that you deserve in the long run. But I learned going around with the auctions and the people at the little swap meets too that a lot of them are cheap and they know they got things for cheap. So how do I get a little bit better at still flipping my stuff, but not stepping on anybody's toes, but I'm still making money because I know I paid XYZ, whether payment financial, putting in the work, XYZ, you know? Bam, I've always said nobody has the mod here. It's like, chill, you know? I don't want anyone to feel like this is ever like a job. I missed some stuff. Hold on. He'll be safe for him. Don't start thinking all the crazy stuff because the manifestation is real. He's gonna walk away like your other son and have the best time. It's like going to school for the first time too, and you're getting older, high school, for instance. Like you don't know what to expect, and then you drive into things, and then you're fine, and then you feel like you're a superstar. You know, it's never. Sometimes things are what we expect, but I feel like that's manifestation as well, or just maybe like seeing the future a little bit. And then a lot of times it's not what we expected, and we try to talk ourselves out of it, you know? Yeah, maybe I'll show an appearance today, B. Maybe. A steel plated fridge? I cannot. Yeah, B's been coming around, Bama. B's cool. B's of age. B hasn't been weird. It's fine. That's why I was like, oh, no, no, no. Put your glasses on, old man. Oh, it's your first time. Is there other swap meets around you, farms? Hey, you know what your worth is and the piggy's worth too. I'm not talking about fucking war and shit. It's way too early for that. And even then, I don't like talking about it no matter what time it is because it shouldn't be going on. So I'm gonna just not say anything to all of that. I'm not ignoring, but like no, we get lied to about so much stuff. We could be lied about some of that stuff too, but people losing their lives and stuff isn't a joke. So it isn't a lie either. So no matter what's happening, it's all wrong. Um, the children of God, we shouldn't be doing none of that. So I know you take being a mom seriously, Bama. But you don't give yourself a headache around here. You're my buddy, and you're everybody else's buddy too, and you can just chill and just hang out and have some laughs. The thing is with like the trolls, they start trying to get under people's skin. You let them get under your skin. You're letting them win, and I don't like letting trolls win. Oh, yeah, I can't look at animals at the swap stuff because it's not ever good. So I just keep it moving. I'm like, I said a couple weeks ago, I think now, that they started having birds there. And I remember I got out of the car and I immediately heard not wild birds. And I was like, oh my gosh. Um, and it was tugging hard on the heartstrings. But at least this person had their stuff clean. And all the birds had like fans and stuff. Other people that do other stuff there with animals is not like that. Like I have to literally like run by because I can't watch. I can't watch. It's awful. And especially for people that are also most of the time going to use these said animals for food or hold on a second. Or maybe personal, but usually like food and maybe even breeding. Who knows? These people always have different agendas and stuff. And they're already like, they're going to get an animal that's like not taken care of, and you're going to keep reproducing that. I don't know. I got a lot of mixed feelings. Okay, Jesse, leave the desk. Thanks for stopping in. Stay cool today, you know? Super cool. I don't know if you get Papa John's again, but I hope you have a good Monday. Kick Monday's ass. Oh, yeah, farms. How does that, the sign or the four-way stop is more lucrative? Oh, man. I didn't say it that hard, Chaz. People have mixed feelings, I know. I'm gonna stay away from that one. Yeah, I know that those things vary. Or you have to have like a permit or can't or whatever. I know every place varies on that. Well, if anything, you had a learning experience. I'm sad that it didn't go exactly how you had planned. But you got to learn something. You won't go back. It's not your cup of tea, and then you'll find something else. Maybe you find like knowledge in these places, or you may meet someone in the future that has more knowledge about XYZ of animals, and to put it in your pocket, and you find another niche somewhere else too. And maybe the piggies are just supposed to be with you a little bit longer. I mean, kudos to you. I would not be able. I'd be keeping them all. It'd be crazy. I'd be like, oh my gosh, they're just so cute. I'm like, I just cannot. So I really hats off to you for holding down the fort and taking care of them, taking care of your family, doing what you need to do and stuff, and finding ways to keep peace in the world and not have to be sucked into a hamster job as well, while trying to still provide and keep building your knowledge on your homesteading and only become better and better and better as you go. Hold on a second. Yeah, I always am when I go to these swap meets too. When I started going to auction, a lot of the swap meet people were at the auction, and I was definitely that as well. But you're not like you have something else to offer. Like they've been stuck in their ways for XYZ. I honestly didn't realize how I knew how it was from going to the swap meet, but going to the auctions, all these people go there and then go to the swap meets. So they're on this like grind from like the 20s, not really, but they're stuck in their ways. And you can bring something new and exciting to the table. It was interesting. And I said this before, but there's some people from like the swap meet that I go to all the time to get stuff from because they have cool stuff. We work out cool bargains. We're cool, so it's like it's all around good experience. So when I saw them at the auction, they were all like, "Oh, they." I give the lady credit. She like straight up asked me like, "What are you about to do here?" And I'm like, "Don't worry, Mama. I'm not stepping on your toes. I'm on a different grind." I was like, "You still will get my money at the swap meet. Don't worry." But then I became cool with some other people that I had seen at the flea market swap meet, and I saw other people there, but I didn't know them on that level, but I'd actually met them at the auction. And it was very telling for me once again because everyone's on a very similar and different grind there, but they are stuck in a lot of ways. So it was like even the people at the auction were like, they all were wanting to be like, hey, you're new here. And I'm like, whoa, who cares, you know? But you do stick out being new to something that was somebody has been doing for fucking decades, you know, on their own grind. That's not always the cleanest or the best. Hold on, let me read. It is an impulsive buy. Here, let me get it. There's that. There's this one and this one. Which one? Well, and then you may get like regulars from that as well. Do you do you have a little card that you give out as well so people could contact you again? Oh, to indoor living, that's the cutest thing ever. That would be me for sure. That's so cute. I love that. I remember you said before that sometimes you keep in touch with people or you meet up with people over the state lines and stuff. Well, when I get land one day, if I decide to get piggies, I'll be hitting you up, girl. I get a little indoor piggy. I'm like, you won't become bacon for me. You'll just be my little babe. There is one that I've seen in your video that I'm just like, oh my God, it's so cute. I can't even have chickens here because of the HOA. They would freak out. I start walking a pig. They would freak out. I would love it. Love it. There is one neighbor, they must have got like silent chickens or something, but they bought the house a couple years ago and they got refencing done. And I drove by and I seen the coop in the back and I was like, y'all ain't supposed to have that. And then I ain't no snitch, but I was like, uh-huh. I was like, they're not gonna get away with that. Like that shit's gonna coo and stuff. But I have no idea. Maybe they have silent ones in that backyard. Those surrounding neighbors of them though are absolute nightmares, so I can only imagine that all they do is complain if they do hear them. Yeah, I remember you said that. That's awesome. So yeah, I mean, even the swap meet was a bust, but knowledge to be learned from that because if you didn't go, you would have wondered, oh, could I have made some money today, you know? But you know, some people are just like not where you need to be energy wise as well, and something else will come along and you'll keep finding other destinations to flip the little piggies. Yeah, they don't. There's a neighbor that lives like in the back side of me though, and they have like kudos to them. They've literally made like a whole like farming section in their backyard, but I'm pretty sure they have an HOA there. And I'm like, how do they get away with that? It's like wild. They got all kinds of stuff, and the rooster is jacked up on time. Like that thing just screams when he wants. Yeah, I love Muscovies. I've had regular Muscovies here throughout the years. There's a couple of them I can't even talk about because I literally cry. I love Muscovies. I would own Muscovies if I could, but it's been really cool nature wise having regulars. I had I had one Muscovy girl that laid eggs in my garden over here. Not ideal, but I made a whole little section for her. But they ended up being unsuccessful eggs. And I don't know if you've seen the sunflowers, but the sunflowers grew there. So symbolically, it was like they lived on. But really sad. I don't know what I would have done with all those Muscovy babies here. I would have had to buy seed weekly because the Muscovies will tear up the seed. But I have regular mallards out here. Um, but there's a lot of like bird of prey out in the back and around this neighborhood. I honestly, I know that the falcons and the hawks and stuff love living off of these people chicken. I've seen them grab ducks out here. They're wild. So I just like at this point with my neighborhood and HOA and stuff, I just like naturally feed through nature, and I have my own animals, of course. Obviously more inside animals, but the outside, it's like it's really cute. I feel like they whisper upon the lakes, and like I'll have regulars that don't come for a couple years, and then they come back here because like if you know the feeding station, you know. So it's been cool to see ducks come back and visit me and be excited. But Muscovies, they're so cute. They even like wag their tails. I don't know if they I don't know if they would have had ducks or not. Um, I feel like it would have been chickens, but who knows? Who knows? Maybe they never got it because if I saw the chicken coop, I know those nosy ass neighbors saw it, and I saw it leaving the neighborhood. And I was like, oh, they got a chicken coop. I was like, that ain't gonna last because their surrounding neighbors are a couple of the ones I've gotten to it with. Like, I know that they'll be on it, for sure. I would love to have chickens though. It'd be so cool. But honestly, I don't know if I would love the idea of some of these idiots having animals too, like talking about like the swap meet and them not taking care of animals. Definitely feel like that's what it would be. Thanks, Rem. Did you finish the MP3 player? Yeah, the chickens and the piggies and the animals and the duckies and the muscavies. Yeah. Yeah, it sucks. I don't know. There's a few houses would go to pure trash, but they already do some of these houses do. So I mean the HOA doesn't stop those things. Um, and if they got chickens over there, clearly it'll stop it. But I walk by every day with the dogs and stuff, so I never hear chickens out there. So I'm like, maybe they're like silent chickens. I doubt it, but um, they definitely they just like control. It's like a different control system. It's awful, awful. But yet they don't even do little things. They sent like a whole list of things out a couple months ago of what they're planning to do. And I swear the only thing they did was freaking spray paint um, the benches around here. And I don't even know if they spray painted all of them. And I'm like, that's like the least of the worries. Like the sign in the front of the neighborhood is like literally like breaking. They could easily fix it with like some hardy board type of stuff, but they don't know what they're doing anyway. So I'm surprised that they haven't done that because they're so cheap. The money don't make sense for me, and they know. I'm like, you leave me alone because I'll start breaking down finances because I did. I was like, you leave me alone. None of this makes sense. Um, so thankfully, knock on wood, that they know that I don't just bark. Just kidding, but really. Until next year, is there a reason, or you just got a lot going on with everything else? Hey, Sharon. Sharon Bird. No doubt, yes. I love Gwen Stefani. I still have her Hollerback Girl CD. I'm like, you need to use it to rip the songs. I love Radiohead too. I forget who was saying that. I think it was Fraggle was saying, was it Fraggle? I don't know. One of their roommates would just play Radiohead all the time. Hey, that's okay. Now, No Doubt is awesome. Don't put that in a category of like girl music. Gwen Stefani maybe by herself a little bit. Um, but everyone can listen to it. Come on now. Who lied, Sharon? The piggies went wee all the way back to the farms so they can cuddle with her some more. I'm lost. I just hope they hold on. Oh, that's good. Yeah, because I have to fucking change this setting every time. It's a little annoying. I don't think I have to for the shorts, but videos or lives I have to. Thanks for letting me know, Jesse. I just hope it doesn't give weird ads, you know? Yeah, get those steps in. And thanks for letting me know once again. When you edit a video, what do you mean when you edit a video? Like on your own on your own page, I'm assuming. Oh, thank you so much, Rim. What up, Tom? Happy Monday. Thanks, Rim. It is interesting. I'm at 52 likes this morning. When I first started talking, I was at like 4, and I was like, what is happening? It's interesting. What is that, Tom? I'm asking again, I guess. When you like yourself edits a video, or like someone on their page does. I was like, I'm not behind in the chat. What are you talking about? Like, I'm here. Yeah, I'm doing a long weekend. I'm doing good. How are you, Tom? I am calling you an old man, you old geezer. Doing those shitty britches. Yeah, like one for you. Yeah. Yeah, but whatever, it's gonna build over time, I guess. So I'm gonna be optimistic, and it's still better than nothing, you know. So I'm gonna keep trying to pour into my stuff, yo. And goes to everyone else doing their own channel too, like farms. Oh, I'm sorry, my damn pinky. I'm not behind. Shut your mouth. Yeah, I think you can't skip the ads. I don't know. I have to do some research. I think my buddies told me that a while ago, my little gamer couple. Love them. Shout out to Chief and Lizzie. They're awesome. But I think they told me that. They honestly, I really want to talk to them in the future. So summon them in, universe. But they really like kept me optimistic too. Like all my peeps did. But they are also monetized, and they were real about the experience, and they've gone a long way. They actually traveled to Paris a few weeks back, or a month ago or so. Um, uh, they're awesome. So you guys check out their page too. But they definitely I don't know. They're real about the climb to YouTube, and I really valued that. I really value them. They're funny. They're awesome. With what extra stuffing? Like the triple stuff? Is there a triple stuff now? Yeah, I got muffled up. Okay, Jesse, a little bit. He's got to get his steps in. Yeah, Bama's been creeping. Yeah, it is brutal. I mean, even if you guys see my numbers now, that was not always the case. So it is brutal. You still have to make sure you don't pour from an empty cup. It takes some time, regroup, go back in. It's a constant like pouring into different cups and planting different seeds. But if you don't give up, the universe acknowledges that and will always meet you there. So it definitely has not been the easiest at times. I've learned a lot of different things in a lot of different scenarios. Um, but I've had a lot of awesome times too. Like I always say, that keeps me coming back is y'all. So I definitely never give up if that's something you're trying to do through YouTube. Everyone has their own different things of what they do on YouTube. But if you are trying to pour into a channel and sometimes it feels like it's not going anywhere, do not give up. Keep going. And remember, even when you go somewhere with XYZ and you feel good about it and there's still continuously a climb to keep going on, don't forget about those moments of like this paid off XYZ, but it's all a number game, so it's never going to be enough. So that's something I constantly am telling myself as well because it's never enough. It's just like anything with numbers almost. Yeah, but that could change in a day. You really don't know farms. Like honestly, it really started taking off more for me around my birthday, believe it or not, and through the lives. Like I was seeing momentum, and then I had taken a break for like a month or two, really not living, and that really I feel like hindered me in different ways because it is a metrics game. It's kind of cracking the code, but to never pour from an empty cup because I came back and I felt rejuvenated. I knew what I wanted more for my channel, what I wanted more from my experience with this, and what I wanted to experience with my peeps as well. Like, so never give up because when you feel like giving up, you're almost there. So definitely, I was like hovering over. I was saying before, it took me even longer to become monetized because I started living last year, so it's been a year and a half now that I've actually been living for the watch hours. Like, and I was deleting videos in the beginning too. So dumb. I was deleting videos because it's a numbers game, and you start telling yourself XYZ, but it's still a numbers game. So I was like deleting videos, not good. So I finally keep videos, and then this year I'm getting closer to watch hours, right? But I'm losing all my watch hours from last year's videos that I finally started to keep. So it's definitely a learning experience, but you have to be honest with yourself. Like screw like whatever anyone else is thinking for you and your channel, especially if they don't do a channel, then you don't know what I'm talking about. Sorry, but it's what it is. But you have to be honest with yourself. What do I want from this, you know? And I spent a lot of time like I want this. Like I need to accomplish this, but I also want to accomplish this because of XYZ purpose, you know? Um, and I think when we're honest about the approach and our energy and what we have to offer, what we are willing to offer, etc., then it full circles. So remember that it's always a numbers game and that will never stop, no matter even if you get monetized or not. It's still an even more of a numbers game, but to be natural and approach it in a way of like being humble, because there's still days I don't get a bunch of views either, but the chat was popping and that's okay for me. I have time of like regrounding and whatever and chilling, and then there's times where there's been nothing going on in the chat, like my people that I really started the YouTube stuff with here, you know, Bama, for instance. Bama's my first bond. Tom too. Like speaking of two people that have been around for a while, you've seen my chats with nothing going on in them, you know? And you guys were what was going on if you were there or not there. And those things I valued so much because now I have like this human soul rapport with y'all that is irreplaceable to a view. You know, and it definitely it keeps me humble of like not getting sucked dry of like playing the numbers game and also being a human and living this experience via YouTube, so to speak, that isn't far fetched from my life, you know, because like I said before, it starts to feel jobby. I don't want to fucking be here. So I'm always like, no, I got to keep revamping, recharging. That's one reason why I've been doing that on the weekends as well, because I need to still be like being a human, you know? And I don't think that like YouTube takes that away from me, but it is also an attachment of things as well. And I like to be present when I'm here, you know? I like to be presently in the chat or being here, you know? As you guys have seen, I've done the fish tank live and stuff. And then that's usually, sometimes I'll be in there, but most of the time I'm running around doing stuff as well. But I couldn't do any of this without y'all. So that's the most grounding piece, is finding good souls. And supporters is so whack, like good souls and good community of like-minded individuals. Even if we have differences at times, there's still a core value of treating each other well, and being mindful that we all are on our own experience here in this life. And how cool is it to be able, I have goosebumps. How cool is it to be able to like connect with people in a chat, but also feel like, of course, we have bullshitters, so just don't think about that for a second. But to feel like a cool group and unity of like positive vibes, and like we can bounce things back and forth and like problem solve maybe together, or like just have silly conversations, like whatever naturally happens, you know? That's another thing I try not to force with the channel stuff, because it's like whatever occurs. You guys hear me talk about all kinds of stuff. So just naturally always be you if you're doing your channel, because you're only disservicing yourself if you're not. And you're all XYZ one day, and then all of a sudden that's changed because you've been not being yourself, you know? Like, no, like that's where you guys have seen me happy, bitchy, sappy, all the things, because that's who I am, you know? So the right people will love you for who you are, and you don't need to put on a show. Anyways, let me catch up. No, I missed some stuff, clearly. Whippersnappers, I cannot. Don't be a bad influence if she's trying not to, you know? But this year you are? What do you mean it changed? They tried to change it years ago, Rem. I'm not going to the shit that's not been around for like centuries. Nope. That's crazy. Yeah, the cusp, it depends. I'm behind the chat, so I guess that was answered. The cusp does depend on like either the first or the last part of the month. It could be middle month for the cusp. Depends. Yeah, I remember Rim said he was a Gemini. So is Grown. There's so many Geminis in here. It's crazy. Crazy. Frag was also a Gemini. There was someone else that came around for a while who was a Gemini. There's several Geminis, actually. They sprinkle themselves in. I'm a cuss, so I'm like, Geminis are crazy. But Taurus are too. We all are. Rawr. Yeah, you are. I don't know about my pet turtle, but you are a pet turtle. If anyone sees a turtle walking around, is Bama there, spiritually and symbolically. Thanks, Rim. I was trying to just not answer you. I appreciate you too, Farms. I'm so glad that you were brought from the universe, you know. Um, Definitely, like I try to like give back to my peeps too, especially people that are doing their channel. Excuse me, because I do understand the climb is real, and sometimes it looks a little different on the other side, but it doesn't mean that these people didn't have to go through XYZ to get to XYZ, you know. Um, but I'm glad the universe aligned us. You are good vibes, good soul, Gemini sister. Um, I look forward to the things we can learn together on this life journey. You should put a photo up, Rim. You're just my pet turtle that I keep around. Yeah, you just try to get in here and eat everybody's toes. You're like a little snapping turtle. Rawr. You're like a snapping turtle lion, so you have like a mane. So imagine a turtle, a snapping turtle specifically, that reaches around, but they have a lion's mane on their head. Yeah, I think so, but I think it's because I've been jaded by Geminis as well, and I've told all my Geminis this because I have definitely have been jaded, but I see why we get along. I do see why I get along with Geminis, not only because I'm a cuss, because for a long time it didn't actually resonate with that I was a cusp, but I'm like, oh, I really am a cusp. Um, so it's been very like very telling for me to resonate with both sides and also on my journey because I've had like I've spoke about this before too as I have like patterns in my life where I've hung out with specific signs and groups of those signs, where I've taken kind of notes of like who I mesh well with and where things that could be worked on within each sign because everyone has room for improvement, myself included. Um, Especially when I look at a characteristic based type thing like astrology, of like, there are a lot of like, there is a lot of like common traits within those signs, said strengths, said weaknesses. That definitely want a better word for weaknesses because we can make them into strengths, but to be aware of those things too, because if we're not, like, it could be very hindering in many ways. So definitely, I always say this about all the signs is I get along with all the signs. And I feel like humans, like for me on my journey, like it resonates with me. And that's why I always ask because I'm like, oh, okay, I'm dealing with like maybe like an earth sign or I'm dealing with a water sign. Like I'm dealing with like different, we're all dealing with different things, but um, for me on a human level, it's like, oh, okay, like whether people resonate with these things or some people don't believe in it or don't follow it or whatever, it's still like your star sign, no matter if you believe in it or not. And it's very telling for me on once again of like what kind of characteristics I may be dealing with. Do I put everyone in these boxes? No. I think everyone has room for like improvement once again, and being aware of said XYZ things can help us yearn for improvement. Um, but when people aren't almost aware of like things and refuse to be a better human or think that they're perfect and there's no room for improvement, it's not needed type of thing, then it falls back for me a little bit of like, okay, these are not your weaknesses, but these are also things that become like hindering to friendships, relationships, family, etc., chat rooms, because it could get extreme to one level to the next. But we've seen different humans, right? So like I've seen people that like maybe really do hone in on these things and they're aware of their characteristics and they're always willing to adjust, which I feel like we should be kind of like that in life because if we stay stagnant and stuck, change will be thrusted upon us and it may feel like a burden. But I've seen people as well, like, you know, like that shit doesn't mean anything to me. But then their maybe said weaknesses are shining right through once again because they're allowing like negativity, and not because they don't believe in it, but because they're not honed in on like things that kind of make us who we are and how we were born under the star in the universe. And that's how I feel about it, and I understand not everyone else feels that way. Put you in the Gemini box. No, I've had some really cool Gemini people in my life. So I've also had some really bad ones, but that comes with also other star signs. There's a couple other star signs that I see where we click so well, but if we both are aligning and we're both focusing on weaknesses together, it's not going to go well. And I try to like at least see that in said relationships with people, because it just helps me understand them a little bit better as well. And this all has effects of like how we've been treated in life and how we've handled things. So all those things have different effects, of course. I just use my spiritual stuff as a guide to understand humans, because I love psychology as well. And I love like the thought that the universe connected all of us and we all have a purpose, but you have free will, so you really are still creating your own soul here no matter what. And we have choices and decisions to make that ground us into being said better individual, while always looking to like improve. The one thing with like, I will say with Geminis and being a cuss, because I'm not knocking anyone, and I always say this about all the star signs once again, that we all have things good and bad, you know. Let's not focus on the bad, but we need to be aware that these are things that are triggering and we need to work on that. XYZ, whatever that is. But I've noticed with Geminis that have been in my life and also resonating being a cusp, is that there's emotion in there, but there's a lot of hard exterior. And then those emotions almost get turned off. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, any Geminis out there, Farms, Fraggle, anyone else, Rim, it's like there's a lot of humor. That's where I get along with you guys so well. But there's also like a disconnect with emotions. And I've had some really core people in my life that are Geminis, and the disconnect of emotion is almost wild for me. And I see where that's happened to me in my life as well. But my Taurus side is more emotional. So I can see where it's turned off and turned on, of like, okay, this is time where I just was not feeling anything for this, you know, where I've just turned this emotion off and I'm not dealing with it, you know. And then that can become hindering, Henderson, as well in the long run, of like, that could bottle up and be explosive, because I've also seen the Geminis in my life. I'm not speaking for anyone in the chat. I'm just speaking from experience. Those Geminis that turn those emotions off come back later and they don't know what to do with them. Like, they're all like, oh, here it is. And sometimes they even get colder from that. I've had a few Geminis too that have become even colder from that. And then all of a sudden it becomes explosive. And this could be human related as well, but just from experiences too. But the fun and the spontaneous side, the creativity, the will, and like, I don't even know, like, yearning for good conversation. Like, I can talk to Geminis for hours, and just keep going and going and going. That's something I've always loved. And it's a good back and forth, even when there's differences, because there's a lot of core values that are similar, but you learn in different ways too, because I know my Taurus side is a lot more stricter than the Geminis. And I always say with the Geminis, you got the twins. So the twins are up to their own shit. They got their own mission. Sometimes they're Heckle and Jide, and then sometimes they're like literally like Sour Patch Kids, and maybe another time they're sweet angels. And then you got your own personality in there, because I feel like there's 3 personalities to a Gemini. And the twins, once you learn, they're like actually your buddies and not not going to hinder you if you don't allow that. Then you start working together on this frequency. Not to say there's multiple personalities, but you are dealing with different energies there. Anyways, let me catch up. You should start posting stuff, Ren. Yeah, girl. I was like, I'm not trying to call anybody out. I was like, correct me if I'm wrong. But I had someone very close to my life and very same. The father was a deadbeat, and it really did a number on them. Honestly. And it did a number on everyone else being almost not as emotional, at least for them, because then we all start to learn that, or we all start to resonate with that, because the person in my life was like a role, I was like said role model at the time, or like a adult figure. I wouldn't say role model, adult figure in my life. So I learned a lot from that. um Meanwhile, like having to shut off my emotions because they weren't feeling that. It can be tough, because I think that's that hard exterior of like, I'm a warrior, I'm gonna rock this shit and I'm gonna get through it, like F everyone, get out of my way, and I'm gonna figure this out. But without figuring it out, almost, you're just pushing through all these things. And everyone navigates through things differently, but I also feel like I resonate with that because I felt that in my life, as I have goosebumps again. I felt that in my life, as well. And then once again, being a cusp, my Taurus side is more emotional, even though the exterior of a bull doesn't maybe appear emotional. Um, but to have like a good balance between those things too. I think when we're more aware of like things that are said triggers, or things that are common trends in our life, like okay, I'm not going to have emotions to this because I need to put my strong hat on. And I know you're a super mom in your situation as well, farm. So you're trying to hold it together and you don't got time to cry, essentially. But also to still like tuck these things, don't tuck them away, to discard of them so we don't carry them on, because I know personally, and I feel like a lot of humans do this as well, um, that we bury stuff, and it becomes that baggage once again, instead of letting it free, especially when we didn't create that for ourselves. It was someone else's decision making sometimes when it comes to parents. And if we start to carry that baggage, or also turn ourselves off to it because we don't want to feel that, like we're like, I don't want to feel anything for this. Yeah, girl, Sour Patch Kids. When I cut my hair last year, they were coming out. They were like, cut it more. I'm like, oh no! I ended up fucking my hair up and had to cut it some more. I was like, these damn Gemini's, get them on out of here. I need my Taurus stubborn, like stern ways right now, just doing it right and not like second debating things. I think when you keep the chins, the twins, not the three-headed dogs. I mean, it kind of becomes a three-headed dog, honestly, because this is that full circle moment, real quick. I had sunflowers out there that look like little three-headed dog. I thought of you. I was like, these look like little three-headed sunflower dogs. But that's like the twins. And then you throw yourself in there and you become a three-headed dog. And you have to literally navigate through this. Like, okay, I feel like when we're more aware of these things, maybe we can navigate better. And sometimes people don't believe whatever, which is their own. But I've just noticed for myself that if I'm working with my tools that have been given to me spiritually, because we all have them, then I'm working with myself. I'm not working against myself. If I start to get like annoyed, or like, how do I change this? I got to get away, but also like to still like ground myself, because I'm the type of person as well, as like, even in a moment, maybe I feel like I don't want to have emotions for that. And I'm like, nope, I'm not dealing with that. And then later on, I'm like, okay, maybe I could have done that differently. And my empath side comes out and is like, okay, a tug of war of like how to be softer, but not soft enough where someone thinks you're a little bitch. It's confusing. It's confusing. But the twins have a lot to offer. They really do. And I think it's cool that they come as a package deal. And then you get to splash in stuff. But for me, I try to be mindful as well that these life experiences are hard. And if we're always stuck in of of sadness that we don't deal with as well, like it only rolls into something else. So I just like a good release, whatever that could be for people, whether it's journaling, a letter to the universe and you burn it, um, prayer, like there's so many different things, crafting, all this stuff of having a good release because organizing those thoughts where you are like not responsible for especially other people's actions that were out of your control, and finding a good way to navigate through it and not get stuck through things like my river saying of like it was not mine, it's quoted by someone else, I don't know, but letting things flow through like a river instead of like getting stuck to us, which can be very hard to do. And I feel like the world makes you feel like it's not okay to have emotions, which is really jacked up for people ultimately because then we all get numb to not wanting to have emotions, or you grew up in a household that's like suck it up buttercup and that's it. And that makes it very hard to not be like that as well. So, I think that we shouldn't be like crying every 5 seconds. Maybe something's going on, and I'm not a therapist, so seek help. But these could be things that are trapped up inside and they're steamrolling out. Like it's like I'm not staying in here anymore. I'm gonna get rid of all this. Like I didn't deserve that. I shouldn't have done this. Maybe I learned from that. And then finding a good happy medium, which always is easier said than done. But life has a lot of common events or repeating events, and finding a way to, oh, this is happening again. Do I need to deal with that? Yeah, girl, and I think that's where you and I come together too, because I'm not okay with that either. I'm like, there's way more than that in this life. But because we still, no matter what, you may get wiser along this journey, not older, right? But wiser, and you change what you want in this life, and you're like, okay, this is not what I want. Like, I don't want the robotic hamster wheel. Maybe that comes with sacrifices sometimes because everything comes with like sacrifices, right? But you still get more soul happiness from that than anything else. But it's like finding a good way to still not be robotic in your own routines and your own ways, and finding a good happy medium in there and still be a human, because I think that we are taught to be like go to work and croak. Don't talk about life, don't talk about sadness, don't even think about it, just keep being a robot. But we're not robots, and those things catch up to us at times, at different times, and it's sad how people carry those things and react to things as well that life has done to us, especially different generations too, especially when mental health was never a thing. That's carried into like our generation, especially because we still have that brutal aftermath of no mental health stuff going on. So our parents were like a fucking mess. And who pays the price for that? It becomes a generational thing and a pass down. And I can't speak for you like with your children, but I can imagine like being a mom makes you think like I want my kids to have more than what I had, or in the sense of maybe not materialistic or financial, but like in a sense of maybe, but like just in a sense of like love and know that they have support for me when I didn't always have that for myself to give now back to them, because that takes a lot of strength to do that too, knowing what you've had to experience in your own life from your own said parent role models that weren't exactly role models, you know? Oh no. He got some Sour Patch Kids. Keep him away from the Sour Patch. Oh, I think about that too. Like, oh, do you get what you dished out? I'm like, yeah, I can only imagine. I was a sassy teenager, man. Oh, Lord. I send prayers out to the universe, and I'm not even a mom. I'm like, oh, man. Some crazy stuff. I'll pray for you, girl. Oh, my gosh. Oh, good Lord. Don't incriminate yourself. Oh, gosh. How old is he, if you don't mind me asking? You're like, love you, but don't be like me. Do what I say, not what I do. This is like the country ass fucking saying. Oh, good Lord, he's in his teens. I'm like, I'm gonna pray for you. We're gonna come together and hold hands, y'all. We're gonna pray for her. That's crazy. Ren was saying his 15-year-old son's going to camp today or whatever. Yeah, he's gotten over. It's still teenage years. Those are brutal. 6 foot. That's crazy. He probably got a little taller now. I think they stopped growing in like 10th grade or something. Junior year, depends. The little beanstalk with attitude. And kids look way older nowadays, like always. I felt like, they kind of were like that, but kids are like, I feel like trying to grow up even faster than what we were trying to grow up, And then they literally look like older. And it's like, wait a minute. How old are you? Let me see some ID. But him being a lot like you, I'm sure, I feel like that says that he loves you a lot. I don't know, you probably feel that, of course, but it says like he loves you a lot, and what you do, he wants to be like and to get the love back that like maybe was missing from other people that should have given you more love in this life. Um, and it sounds like a beautiful thing. Like, it sounds a little crazy. Because bless your heart, we still gonna pray for you, girl. But it definitely sounds like, he's like a Velcro child. Oh, yeah, I almost had some tears too. Oh, good Lord, I'm getting sappy. I was like, I felt that immediately. I was like, oh, it really sounds like he like loves you, and that he wants to be like his mama. Oh my gosh. I don't know if you guys talk about it, but at some point, if you do in life and stuff, that's wow. That was even more like fitting than when I was saying he gives you back the love that you were needing when you were younger, and it's almost the same thing too because now you're like double up mom. Oh, a girl. I don't even know. You need some extra prayers on the side for that too because I can't even imagine. I don't know your full story and and why and all that stuff, and that's okay, but I can only imagine like seeing that as well, like a mix of like, oh no, especially if he's not in his life because that's a hard one to navigate through. I can only imagine. So that definitely makes more sense as well of like why he would lean upon you for that extra love and support. I hope that doesn't feel like a burden to you at times either, because that sounds like a big job. Like, and I don't like the word job. A big, literally like constant hug of love and healing. But also, you're a Gemini, so you're going through your own stuff as well in this life too, and of how you've navigated through like not getting the love that you deserve while trying to pour back to your own little kiddos, and not making them feel like the ways that you have felt. And I don't know where Pops is, but shame on him too. Yeah, we all do. Luggage and tons of baggage, and we ain't even going on vacation with it. It's crazy. I'm just tucking it all in. I definitely try to keep that in my mind all the time of like, nope, I'm not taking this one with me because I don't need that. That doesn't belong to me. And then sometimes you feel like it belongs to you, so now you're lugging it around, but it doesn't really belong to you, and we're just taking it in and doing nothing good with it. Yeah, definitely. I can imagine. I can't imagine. And honesty is like the best thing that you can do in that scenario too. And even like the father too, like I can't speak on it because I don't know that experience, but he's not worthy of like even talking about. I think it's important for maybe the child to know what it is, but as they get older that formulates in their own way. Um because even when I was younger and I knew what it was with my parents, I was still like wondering why it was me. But then as I got even older, it was like wiser because we're not getting older, right? As I got even wiser, it was like, oh, this was way, way out of like my ball game. Like this had nothing to do with me. And sometimes you still will feel like that at times because you do wonder, like, XYZ, even if you've turned off like emotions, sometimes they come back and then you try to turn it off again or you navigate through. I got through like my parents' situation because I stopped turning it off. And there's still times I have like, okay, well, this is what it is. We've come to this understanding. I'm not going back for my own personal reasons, but it's still a sad spot. But it doesn't need to be somewhere we reside and go to, not even a vacation on. You're just living in this shit that you didn't do anything in. Especially in those situations you didn't do anything. Like these are life burdens, it feels like, or different love in disguise. It's hard to see it that way when you're feeling it at times, but different love in disguise of part of the journey of like, now I can resonate, or for you farms, now I can resonate with my son a little bit on how this feels, even though it's wrong. Because now he'll have that safe haven with me of talking to me about it, you obviously, um, where he may have not felt that entirely if you hadn't experienced that. What up, Tristan? Yeah, I agree, B. Like someone helping you unload, and that's not on anyone's responsibility either, because then that becomes a, okay, I don't have to, you don't almost want to put anyone through it, like, so you may silently keep baggage, but the people that do, like, and they're willing to unpack with you, those are definitely keepers for sure. Yeah, I got no vacation on to go on. I was like, I need to cut this shit loose. Burn it. Tell Bama take this shit on to the train station. Everybody throw your baggage. Let's use the box carts for some good too. Everyone throw your unwanted baggage to the box cart. Bama will be taking it at 10:15, 10:30, 12 p.m. It'll be taking it off. And sayonara, we're not looking back. Let it burn! But Bama, don't be on the train when it burns. Just I don't know. Burn it out into the atmosphere, but don't pass it on to nobody else. Just get rid of the baggage. It'll be like the trolls, where they go, nobody knows. They're definitely keepers for sure. What up, Raj? I don't think you can paste the link in here. Yeah, let's use the train for good. The train works for good, but this is like super good, you know? I'm like, Bama, throw your stuff on there. Tom, Farms, Rim, Jesse, Hartes, Mella, all the people. Joe. I know Pico got some luggage. All the peeps. Little puppy. Little puppy. Trosen, you gonna throw your stuff on there? Oh, it did do the link. I was wondering, I think there was a setting that I saw like last week or something with links, and I couldn't remember if it was community or not. Yeah, it's about to be Usher in here. Let's just let it burn. Ooh. I think it keeps me in check personally, because I'm like, okay, that's not my baggage. I am not taking that. You know, like even when I become empathy and I'm feeling things and stuff, I'm like, okay, this is just that moment in time. Maybe I learned something. A person maybe I'm talking to will learn something. We learn together, but I'm not taking your baggage. And I'm not taking any more on my own either. Like, I'm still always actively going through the baggage and just letting it go. I do like to personally go through and like organize said baggage of like, why was I keeping this? This did no purpose for me. It's all about like weirdly closure with humans as well. And most of the time we don't get closure. And even when we do get closure, it is typically not the closure we were looking for and made it worse, and there was still no closure. So it's like carrying around this unwanted baggage of nonsense that does nothing for us but add weight to our life journey. It feels like more like liberating and freeing to just toss it away, you know? And that could be something that sounds so easy, and that's why I said I like to go through sometimes my baggage of like, why are we holding on to this? This isn't anything good for you. How can you come to peace with this? How can you literally say goodbye and never look back? I think Tom dipped. He's always got something going on with the chuckle nuts at work. I don't know if Russ, get out of here. Go on and get. Ain't doing no good purpose here. You need to go on and get. Now these are like routines though. I mean, if you're only getting rid of baggage once every 30 years, like it's definitely, we're not getting lighter. We're still adding on, you know? But it's like anything, like it's a constant rewire. Like if we've spent like 5 days in a row being sad, it's going to take 10 days to feel more balanced again. Like, and that's how I feel personally. And when we take this into consideration of a routine that's been flourishing in our brain for XYZ years, and how we react to things and handle things and do things and carry weight and baggage around and adding to this baggage, I feel like when we're more aware of it, we're like, this is what I'm doing. I'm doing that again. let me unpack this, or just throw it straight on the fucking train and let it go, you know? But it has to be like a constant thing of being aware of that, because we do that as humans all the time. We carry unnecessary baggage all the time. And like we were joking about, no fucking vacation to go on. We're just carrying this. It's not like you're about to feel real cute or adventurous, or you've packed everything you could possibly need on a forever vacation. It's somewhere you're not going. You're just loading more and more baggage up. And I'm sure it's not even like good baggage. Like you're packing away like memory books essentially of awful shit. So I don't know. I find humor in things because that's how I am too. But I'm like, humans are wild. Like, what are we doing? Why are we carrying around all this nonsense, you know? I told you to be back, rude of Jesse. Jesse's got like a day left before he can change his name again, I think, right? You really threw me this time. I was like, who the hell is that? I told y'all one time I had a chat and I had a couple of my peeps in here. But someone modded that I did not make a mod, so I thought one of my peeps got hacked. And they said some weird shit in the chat, like super weird. And I was like, oh my god, how did they become a mod? So with the name change, it like gives me like trigger flashbacks. Take that luggage too, I don't want it. If I like your video, we can do a collab. I cannot. Someone said in here the other day, you want to do a collab. They're probably BSing, but I'm like, a collab of what? Ooh, that sounds so good. I love blueberry bagels. Love it. Love them, love them, love them. Yeah, I'm curious to see what he's gonna change his name to. You better hope that you really can't like stop changing your name, because what if you change it to something that is now forever your name? Is there a limit? I don't know. I don't know. And then you become gift of God for life. I guess maybe that wouldn't be a bad thing, right? Yeah, dog collab. It would be cool in the future to do dual lives with people. I did it before when I first started living. Some people will come in from time to time and they're like, I remember when you had somebody in your live. And I was like, yeah. I allowed a couple people to come into the live, and it was cool to do like 2 people, of course, like not just me, like somebody else in there. That'd be fun in the future. I would like to really do like a poetry night sometime. That would be really awesome. Like everyone have their moment in time and just write a little poem. If you feel like you're not a poet, none of us are. So maybe you are naturally. But it would be cool to do like a little poetry night. You could do like short and sweet. You have a longer poem. Try to keep it under like, I don't know, like a page, you know? Serious parts. So what, you're saying that I'm not the funny one? I guess the Geminis are the funnier ones, right? Serious and sappy, and then you can be the comedian. Yeah, Trozen. I have faith that you'll be able to the drum at the right time. I didn't know if there was like a limit. They're like, okay, you're done changing your name. What, like Bill Nye the Science Guy? Bill Nye the Science Guy. Rim, rim, rim. Oh, I cannot. Thanks, Trocent. Yeah, I needed another Gemini confirmation. I was like, hold up, I'm half Gemini, y'all. You better stop playing. Better stop playing. No, that's where I told y'all before. People sit back in these chats and they read it because they know we're funny as hell. It's okay, Trocent's scratching your back too. We'll all scratch your back. It's fine. I'm looking online to see if there's any good deals for Amazon grocery. I cannot. All y'all getting real cocky real fast. You're like, I don't know about everybody else, but I'm funny as shit. Where's Bama? Yeah, Farms, you were a gift from God too. Don't let Jesse tell you otherwise. A Gemini gift from God. Sour Patch Kids and all. Eyebrows tell you secrets? Maybe. Oh, at one point, what are you talking about? Like the eyebrows lift or how eyebrows look? I was like, what? I just thought you were telling us that. Did we say something about eyebrows? Yeah, you gotta make yourself laugh first. If no one else laughs, at least you laughed, right? I cannot. Sorry, I'm looking up this. Secret messages from the eyebrows? I'm lost too, it's fine. Yeah, great chats and laughs. Hilarious. Them damn Geminis. Just kidding. Well, Jesse's not a Gemini, so I guess Aquarius are funny too. I guess. I feel that, girl. Same with my parents. And that's why we met. We're going to tell each other to reach for the stars. If anything, you'll land within, or reach for the moon. Anything, you'll land within the stars. Never sell yourself short because someone else failed to see your worth. Especially when it comes to parents, because then I start to think, well, they didn't see their own worth either, you know? And it's sad. And it just gets passed down. But if anything, it's motivation that you can do anything that you set your mind to. Because when people have said to me my whole life, and I'm sure that goes for all of us, oh, you can't do that. That's not going to work. I was like, oh, okay. Sometimes it doesn't. And then when it does, you're like, screw you. I had to just believe in myself. And sometimes when it doesn't work, it's because you still didn't believe in yourself enough, you know? Or there's something that needs to be learned so then you can come back. Oh, what is that? I do also say that we are the misfits that fit around here like a big ass puzzle. And honestly, I feel like the people that aren't going to jump in line like sheep are the ones that really like have something to, I'm not to say other people don't, but if you jump in line like some damn sheep, I mean, I feel like you're really just doling your own life experience and your own worth, you know? And I feel like you always have to be your biggest cheerleader, but it's very nice when you do have a support system that also believes in you, because the grass isn't always greener on the other side. But most of the happiness is the inside job. And once we start cracking that code more and knowing and being confident in our worth, like, especially girl, you being a Gemini, stubborn as hell too, knowing your worth and standing on it, being like, yeah, just like you did at the market. Literally that. You're like, no, I deserve better. The piggies deserve better too, you know? And standing on that and taking whatever lessons you learned through those experiences, like we were talking about, and being stubborn in the right ways, because that's a constant thing for me too, is being stubborn in the right ways and owning your worth once again, because can't expect anyone else to own our worth. Like, we literally have to be owning our own worth. And then when we do that, it's like doors open for us even more, because the universe is like, okay, you believe in yourself. But the hardest part is believing in yourself. That's where the world is like screwed, because it's like, oh, that's dumb. You don't believe in yourself. And then it's like, yeah. And then you're like, you start not believing in yourself because some moron told you it was dumb, you know? It's crazy. Oh, she watches you on YouTube? I missed some stuff. Sorry, y'all. it's also about how people perceive themselves. I mean, if you've been a Debbie Downer your whole life, like you're not gonna clap for someone when they win. You know, it's like when people are like, "Oh, I could easily do XYZ video that I just watched," but then they're not doing it and they're just gonna talk shit about the person that did it. And your dream isn't someone else's dream. That's fine. Maybe your dreams change. Maybe your dream is one dream, you achieve it, and you make another dream. Like, dreams are endless. But it's all about how you want to view it, too, because if I tell myself I suck every day, what do you think is going to happen, you know? Easier said than done, but even on my journey, if I start being in a bad mood and it's going sour, I'm like, okay, I need to realign here because it's not going to get better. It's only going to get worse. What can I learn from this? Why did it go this way? How can I be a better person? Sometimes those are hard things to deal with. Sometimes you're stubborn, you're like, I did everything fine, and then you take a second back and you're like, actually, I could have maybe worked on that, and that's you being the bigger person and achieving something, and then the next time you achieve XYZ in a different way because you brought different things to the table, you know? It's like a constant recipe. Well, I feel like Geminis move alone a lot. That's just like their being. Like they move alone a lot, maybe because they got their twin friends and stuff like that too. But it doesn't mean that those things don't bother y'all, like or bother us, you know, being a cuss. But it it really it could mean that you're internalizing those things too, or you get smarter about it and realize that bullying is a sign of jealousy. Then maybe you're not doing something wrong, and the other people are POSs, you know. But that can be hard, especially in school. Like, definitely can be hard. Number three, I'm lost. I meant to say that, and then I seen Rim mention the two of three. Oh, I'm sorry about your angel gain, Rim. Oh, don't feel unfulfilled, girl. It's crazy how life will make you feel that way, even though you tried. You know. Remember, if you didn't go, like you wouldn't have known, and then you would have been like, I should have went. I could have made some money, and then you would have been wondering what if. And then you went, and you don't have to wonder what if anymore. You know how you feel about it, and was it as successful as you wanted? No, but you know that you deserve better. You know. That's growth in many ways too. Maybe you go back again and you learn something else. Who knows? Like you find somewhere else, wherever life guides you, and being open-minded and stuff. And sometimes when you don't feel like you achieve something, we go so hard within about it. You're like, oh, I suck, I could have done better, or it's me, it's I'm this, I'm that, all the things that aren't good, you know. But meanwhile, there's experience to be gained, and us humans don't always view it that way. We like go within and just go where it doesn't need to go. Meanwhile, there's something else on the horizon. We just haven't got there yet. You got to be your own best friend first. You can have friends. It's important to have friends and a good support system, family, whatever it may be. Um, but you got to be your biggest fan. If you're not, you're just hindering yourself silently, out loud, whatever it may be. And even we're all humans. Like sometimes we're like, yeah, whatever. Or my own best friend. I'm like, yeah, but you teach others how to treat you by loving yourself in the way that you know you're supposed to be loved and appreciated. And also, like, And I feel like that's like one of the most important like rest or ingredient to life as well, is definitely self-love. If you're not self-loving, that pours into all the other categories of life. And some people love themselves last, if ever at all. Meanwhile, like you feel like, okay, well, I'm still a giver or whatever, so I'll be fine. But it may not even be like that, because you're pouring from an empty cup and you have so much more love to even give. But because, hold on. But because we don't have enough time, especially when you're on like a hamster wheel type of job and stuff, to be able to soul search and figure out what you like and don't like and stuff like that, that's like almost far gone. You may get to retirement and maybe learn a little bit and have a lot of regrets because you didn't get enough time to do all those things, you know? Um, most humans don't know themselves at all. One thing I do enjoy about the chats too as well, like I can see confidence in some people, and some people are still learning. Some people are confident about still learning, and some people are confident about who they are. But then they may have like not as much confidence in other categories because what life has put them in, you know? So it's like finding a happy balance in there, but never like going back to hindering yourself to fit into society's little circle of life bullshit, or what someone else told you you should do with your life, but they're not the one doing it, you are. So um, finding that good happy medium in there once again. I cannot believe it. I'm looking at deals online and stuff. They got $8 squash on Amazon. Like, what the hell? $8? That's crazy. Sorry. I was like, what? Let me catch up. Yeah, I don't think years change anything. It's still hard to get an angel no matter how many years it's been. No matter how many years it's been. When I go offline for 3 or 4 days, it wasn't that long. Well, I also be like, I want to be naturally me, but also bring a light to said dark room, you know? I also very like honest about like the human approach to life, because we don't all have spectacular days, you know? Sometimes the chat is what helps the days for each and every one of us, including myself. And always another reason why I come back. Um, but I do think it is important to like find a good happy balance between all the things of life, not just like YouTube, but all the things of life, because those balances help us keep pouring from a healthy place, not a drain place, you know? But you know, you can never change anything after things are done. So I hate the word like devil's advocate, but you say I wish that I would have went there before, instead of rounding up everybody and bringing them on down, and then it's a sheet show that you don't want to be at. Um, but what would have happened? You went there and you didn't bring the piggies, and you would have went back home. Like, may it change the scenario, you know? But everything happens for a reason. Even when we don't always understand, or we're kind of like, okay, I could have been smarter or wiser about it. Like, give yourself the credit that you could have done XYZ differently, but also to accept that it was already done the way it was going to be done, you know? Because I think humans spend a lot of time, myself included, of like, okay, I could have done that differently. I wasted time, energy, you know, got everything rounded up, and it didn't even work anywhere close to what I had hoped, instead of focusing, okay, on once again, maybe the learning lessons. Because when we go back in and we say, I should have done this or should have done that, we usually can't do those things. You could do it for future endeavors, so that is something you put into your pocket, but to not not to beat yourself up on it, because you learned a lot of things, even if it wasn't exactly what you had planned, you know? Connecting myself to the grid? Yeah, I need a phone charger sometimes, y'all. And buy Oreos? Oh my gosh, Jesse. Jesse, don't forget to share the Oreos, okay? Is that all the ads that you're seeing? Just Oreos? They're like, we're gonna get him. We're gonna get him. He gonna come down here and he gonna buy them all, just like you did with the damn moose tracks. Just like you did with the moose tracks. Damn shame. Oh, third in the chat, because I was like, I didn't know she meant like third child. I'm trying to catch up, y'all. Oh my gosh, Rem. That's crazy. Oh, that's like a heavy one. You silly little Gemini trying to find humor in there. Maybe it was that way though, you know, if your brother was humorous as well, but not in a way to like be spiteful. And it is sad because it is your birthday. Oh my gosh, and then Trocent. He's like, I hope that wasn't poor taste. Oh my gosh. But it was also her older sister's birthday. I'm glad you spent time with her. That's crazy that you both shared that. No coincidences. Group therapy? I cannot. I think you're doing an okay job in here, rude of Jesse. Do you mean like your parents' farms? It can be, if you mean your parents. I know personally, like, that's how I feel about both my parents. Like, I feel like they're like, that's it for me. But it can be tough making that decision. And things change, you know. I've changed many times of that decision of how I felt and what I was going to do. But I finally had, you know, instead of going back and forth, I was talking about earlier, where you're like, I wish I woulda, shoulda, coulda, you know, all those things. But having confidence in the decision that you made, but it's still being floating around because that never goes away. You're a whippersnapper. What are you talking about? What is a whippersnapper? I'm almost regretting asking. Okay, you did. Okay, Farms. I'm behind. Hold on. Well, you know, I had a very close relationship with my father. But he wasn't like father of the year, but my mom like dipped off, so it was like that was all I had almost. But then I learned like all the things behind my father from not a childhood lens of it, that I was like, yeah, no, there's no trust like at all. There's a lot of hurt and things that are out of my control, not my baggage. Once again, like I can't speak about like your situation, Farms, or other situations, of course. But in the sense of like finding a good understanding. Like I held a lot of bitterness and resentment and baggage, all the things that like that were just not good, not meeting someone, I sometimes it feels like could have that been the best thing for me, or it could have it made it worse, because I can't imagine. When I was younger, when my mom left when I was younger, I had resentment towards my dad for it, but it was definitely my mom's issue. My dad had his own issues, but I give him credit for trying, even though it wasn't good enough, for a lot of reasons, but for the hand that was dealt in the scenario of doing what he could in that time. But it made me always wonder later on about my mom and visiting my mom in my 20s after not seeing her for like 10, 12 years or something. Um, I had a lot of things that I wanted to try to fill that time with, of like time lost, and wanting to understand my mother and the way that she was and why she was the way that she is. And it only honestly like made it like more sad for me, coming to it in a different lens, especially being an adult and not being a child anymore, but also having feelings that were unresolved and expecting me and them to get through these things, and they understand what they put me through and get it. But it was the complete opposite with both of my parents. Like, it was like treated way differently. um and then you start to like assume, which is what does assuming do for all of us, we know. um so I feel like sometimes, like, even when you have said time with XYZ person, it doesn't change those things. And I think that you can almost like, because I know as an adult I tried to go back in and fix both of my relationships with my parents, and it was so far fucking gone that it was like I have no like remorse for any of this at this point. It's like something I just don't want to deal with. um and it was like understanding that as well. But then I have like brothers and stuff that didn't spend time with my dad, and they had to fill that void in a different way in life, and a void that doesn't get filled, essentially, by a parent that's supposed to be something in your life until life goes on and we go the other side, and even then, whatever. So it becomes unfortunate. I don't know. It makes me sad when parents make that decision to not be involved in any child's life, because you really don't know what you now have created a burden for this child that's growing up in the world feeling less than because you were a fucking idiot. It's where I feel for children a lot, but I also feel for adults, because we were all once children, and some of us had better lives than others. And some of us didn't. So it's like there's always different stories of like how you understand things as a child, equivalent to like an adult. And even then, if you go back into relationships and still have this viewing as a child, like Farms' situation is a little different because she never met her dad, so it's like something, maybe a wonder what ifs type of situation. Even though she's a strong mama, I may not want to go into those emotions of it for very obvious reasons that are understandable. This still doesn't replace, like, when you become an adult as well, like, in for people that have had some said relationships with a parent. um, you're either formulating why this went this way and blaming it on yourself, or you're maybe thinking blaming it on yourself because your parent wasn't in the figure, it wasn't in the picture, because they were being selfish. Every story is different of why parents decide to do that, but typically it's selfish shit, sadly. And who pays the price? You as an adult, because you decide how you carry that luggage. Some people are stronger and hold it together better than others, but I feel like at the same time it doesn't mean that it's not something that has weighed on us, or still does at times, of like, could have been different if this was this way. if I would have had a relationship with them, where would it be, you know? And I think sometimes, and not to even sympathize for shit parents, but I think they know that they're so far gone, um, and they're so fucking twisted in what they have done to abandon this child. Some of them is just they've abandoned you and you've never had that experience with them. And that's hard too, because there's always that what if, it could have been, maybe it was different, I didn't see it. There's all the questions. And then there's others where you once again go back into maybe meeting, you say you meet this parent later on and you're trying to fill old time's sake, right? And then neither human, maybe now, or one human, both humans don't want to put in the effort, because everything is effort, and humans are crazy. They see effort in a relationship, they're out, you know? I don't know. I feel like, you know, I really like yearn for closure from my parents that I was never going to get. Never. And it became now, later on, like, I stopped speaking to my parents within the past, like, 10 years, essentially. My mom was, like, several years back, but my dad was, like, almost 6-7 years. So we're getting close to 10 years, somewhere in the ballpark. But it only made it worse trying to get closure, because the closure was never good enough. Like, and not in the sense of me being stubborn, I want to make that clear, but in the sense it only exposed more things that I didn't even see as angles as a child, and they saw it because they were adults that were injured children as well, growing up forcefully and trying to make decisions that weren't the best, especially when it came to little humans, because both of my parents have additional children. So it's like they were being very selfish in these ways, and having my parents even speak at one point and exposing their ways, and like their how they thought one was better than the other. There's a lot of malicious shit behind it that I was like, wow, this only made it worse for me. There's no closure here. Both of y'all think you're a fucking saint because I'm an adult now and you didn't have to fucking be a parent for me at all. Like, quite literally. And parents are crazy when they get in that way, and then you have a relationship with them later, maybe in life, when you're older and understand things differently. Or maybe you don't, because you never had a relationship with them. It starts to be like, oh, all water under the bridge, you're an adult now, you don't need me. And it's like, no, you need your parents in a good portion of your life, if not entirely your whole life, to be there for you. That's like part of the circle of life, you know. It doesn't always work out for people that way for a lot of different reasons, but parents just giving up and stuff, like, it does numbers on future generations. And some people become better people from it, and some people become worse. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, that is you being a Gemini, Rim. Yeah, I agree, Farms. You're not born with that. Those are things that are traumatic, and they make you start being that person. We all came out of the womb crying. Unless there's some medical history or whatever, everyone came out crying, and then it's taught to suck it up or else, and that's awful. And that's where things get bottled up and get explosive, and you don't even know why you're crying 30 years down the road, but really it's because you held all these things in at once, and now you have to deal with it, you know? Each is their own. Some people don't. I mean, I see my dad later on, a grown-ass man, cry, and I know it wasn't even because of one said situation, maybe even one in the moment. It's bottled up things. You're being forced to be strong for so long, or things come back and eat you alive. I mean, that's just how it goes. Like, that's why I always say, be a good human. Nothing goes unseen. Do we make decisions sometimes that we're like, could I've done a little bit better here? Absolutely. But if you're going around doing malicious fucking shit all the time, what do you expect in return, you know? And honestly, those become heartless emotions, and become like aftermath and generational pass downs, and now this child will start to act this way because you're teaching them to act this way. Or it could be an opposite effect. I mean, free will definitely changes things, but then it could be an opposite effect where, somebody's been through some hard shit, and now they're like the sweetest person, and the world still tries to tear them down, but you have no idea what they've been through because they hold it together, you know? And hold it together, I mean, in maybe a personal setting, but then maybe bottle up and explode somewhere else. Yeah, Rem, I think energy doesn't lie either. And sometimes you don't, in those moments, especially leading up to someone crossing over, sometimes it's going to happen, and you've started to feel emotions for it, or you're just like, it's not real and I'm not dealing with it. And then those things catch up to you at different parts of life, like whether you hear a song, maybe you see a sign, maybe you have this nature experience, an angel moment. There could be many things that open you up to, like, that those feelings didn't go away. And I feel for the tough people that have not, especially when mental health definitely wasn't a thing. And even if it's more spoke about today, it doesn't mean that it's being used appropriately, like always. So I think people are still very, very programmed to be like, you don't fucking cry. And that's awful, especially for like men, but also women, because women have started to be like more like that as well, because they don't want to be viewed as weak and not strong, and not independent, not inferior. Like, it's all the things that are like, all the humans are being taught to suck it up, and nothing's happening but bottling it up. We're not sucking it up, we're bottling it up for an unpredictable time that could be explosive. um it, I don't know, I'm constantly like, okay, this is what it is. My parents' stuff, it sounds maybe easier, and there's so many stories. All of us have stories tied to stories. So as we go along and we share things, there's always like missing gaps sometimes with our stories, even if we're sharing stories to bond, or relate, or just share. Maybe we find out someone else has been through something else that we've been through. um, these are like times of like letting it go, even if that was maybe not even like the intentions. Like I was saying, is like, I didn't always feel like the way I do about my parents. Like, they pissed me the fuck off for years, like for years. And I still have moments of like, wow, like you could have been better, tighten up. Like, and I honestly became bitter about it, and I realized that's where I didn't want a relationship with them, because it wasn't going anywhere good, by far. And to be honest, like, every parent that's like, I'm the parent, you're the child, but then you act like a fucking twat. Like, I don't really think that you earn the title to be a parent. You're just the twat. So it's definitely, I got some mixed feelings about it. But if you want to be, I'm the parent, you're the child, well, you should be a better parent. And not all parents are like that, though. There's some good parents out there. So we'll give the credit to the good parents for sure, because they do exist. But a lot of the good parents exist because of the shitty ones. Not always, because that's life, right? It's all a gamble, and we all got different cards and stuff. But I do take note of that. Like, I feel like we jive pretty well together, because we've all been through some crazy life experiences, and maybe we haven't even scratched the surface about things that we're bonded with each other about, and we don't have a clue yet. But then it starts the full circle of like, oh, maybe we did meet for a reason, so we can work out some things together, or talk about things, or be lighthearted and make jokes and stuff, but also let things off our chest that is not our baggage. I'm like, yeah, where'd Bama go? Bama, you got some luggage you gotta drop off. Don't tell us where you're taking it, but throw your luggage in there too. I'm glad you had your grandma too, Farms. But even with my mom though, her mom abandoned her at one point and she got really connected to her grandma. Her grandma took care of her like a mother, and then when her grandma crossed over, so my great grandma, when she crossed over, it was like downhill for my mom. It was like she had no support, didn't feel loved, didn't feel appreciated, like, and it was like it was awful for her, and it became like she started passing down these traumas and all the things that she experienced that I don't even entirely know about to her next set of kids. Which is sad once again too, because they're like, well, this is just what it is because this is what it was for me, you'll be fine, which is not healing the world. It's just like injuring the world more. I think also being a woman too, and not even to be like just because you're a woman and you have children, but I'm sure that also makes it like reality for you too. Like, wow, what a POS. Um, but who knows? Like, I feel like some of those parents, like, kind of going back to what I was saying earlier, I'm not justifying for shit parents, so I'm gonna make it very fucking clear. But I don't think that they would know how to back out of how they've been so shitty for so long that they'd just rather not try. I see it a lot. I've seen it. I felt it. Like, where they're just like, I don't know. Like, let's just pretend it never happened, or I'm never going to try at all because they're better off without me. Is that the right approach? Absolutely not. But a lot of parents do that as well because they know that they're so far in on their addictions to life, whatever that may entail, that they've been so selfish for so long or have continued on, and maybe some of them carry that weight and you never know because they don't have the courage to even try to have a relationship. Not all parents are like that. So as I always say, there's always good and bad in everything, of course. Um, but I can see where a lot of parents just are like, well, what's done is done. It's been years. Maybe they're so selfish, don't give a shit, or they think that their said children's life is better without them. Is that the case most of the time for even the adult children, like the children that become adults that have to still carry this baggage around and dissect it and what it means for them and their family of the future and etc. But there's a lot of cop outs. I've seen it. Like, I like literally grew up like seeing kids in and out of the system all the time and stuff, and some parents just don't know how to deal with it. Like, so they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna just cop out here." Is the cop out right? No. But I'm just gonna cop out here. You're gonna be fine without me and keep moving on. Meanwhile, you guys may even need each other, but because the parent is like a deadbeat and they don't care, or maybe they don't know how to care because they didn't have that either. I don't always enjoy breaking down the psychological aspects of things. And with my parents, it royally pissed me off because there's no fucking excuse. Tighten up. You had a kid, make the decision. It's a forever human. And now you're passing on generational curses, or a curse you created for yourself and there was no generational. You just did it to yourself and now your children. I don't have sympathy for it. But at the same time, I had to have some kind of sympathy, or so empathy, to get me through my woes of it, because for years I was like to my parents, like, why, how could you do that at all? Like how could you do that? But I even look at my brothers and sisters, and sometimes I think that they had it worse than me, and yet none of them know my woes and what I had to go through with both of my parents. But sometimes I think that, them not having their said parent in their life is very hard for them as well, because they're always wondering that what if. Meanwhile, I look at my mom. She had kids before me, and she still thought about her children all the time. She tried to make it better with me, and she ended up falling back in the same fucking shit she did with the other ones. And it was like, me and her had some serious conversations at times about how she had regretted that, and that they were better off without her. So I speak from experience, kind of listening also to her woes. But even my dad just like, it's like a lack of responsibility. There's no way to explain that. Like that's exactly what it is. But on a psychological breakdown for me, what helps me get through it is like, there's all been passed down bullshit that made it to what it is. And is it fair that XYZ had to pay the price of someone else's bullshit? Absolutely not. Um, but to understand in a deeper rooted way, so you don't go within about it. Yeah, gift from God. Jesse seems like he's a little well-rounded. But I also, like, me and Jesse shared something in common too. So like, I also think that comes from a place of being forced to grow up and also tighten up your bootstraps. Like, that it isn't always easy, and humor comes from sadness. Not always, but it does. Yes, exactly, Tristan. I'm behind, so yes, exactly that. I cannot, Rim. I cannot. My dog is the Dutch Shepherd. Ew. Think for 2 seconds. It's an all boys camp, though, right? Just kidding. This session has been fire. I'm gonna get out of here for a little bit too. A grub over here, take the dogs out in a little bit, and I'll charge my phone and maybe patio live. Although I know it's hot as hell out there, so I'm like, oh, that don't sound fun. But let me do some stuff around here. It has been a good chat. I appreciate it always, y'all. I never know what we're gonna get out of the chat. But I love that too, because it sparks conversations that maybe we wouldn't have had on any other day or in another group setting. And we all are some tough warriors, like, quite literally, and we've all been through some things. And as we learn that about one another and we paint our own portraits of like each other's souls, essentially, as we paint our own portrait of the misfits that fit, that we all have a purpose. And sometimes, all the time, we don't choose the hand that's dealt with us, but we can still kick ass and take names with the cards that we have. And this chat is proof that awesome people still exist, as we still even learn each other's stories, that we've been through some shit, and we're still being awesome humans. It says a lot. Oh, you're a member. Oh my gosh. What? Woo-dee-woo. Thank you so much, Farms. I said it earlier this morning. I saw that you can change the badges. So I'm going to look into that in the future. Wow, thank you so much. I started making a little Club Dutch sign outside, actually. Oh, she was already in the Club Dutch. Come on now. Thank you so much. No, 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 Rim. That is really sad. It's super hard. And all of us deal with those things differently. Some people tough like rocks, and the other people crack too, and they've held it in for so long. Real men cry. What is it? Boys don't cry. Boys don't cry. I love that song. And then you got like what modern day like Fergie, big girls don't cry or girls don't cry. Is it girls don't cry? I'm like, big girls don't cry. I'm like, no, we're not big girls. We're big women that cry. It's fine. Yeah, put your toes in the grass. Pinch corner. Did you pinch the corner? What the heck, Jesse? I was not expecting that. I was like, what? I'm glad my parents had me too. You know, that was the only thing they did right. I'm just kidding. But in general, I'm glad that all our parents had us. Were they the smartest ones and the sharpest tools in the shed? Maybe not. But we have purpose. So we can give thanks to them with that. Sometimes that can be hard to, pray and give thanks to ones that have shitted on us. But we become better persons from that. And you should always want your child to be better than you. You should not be wanting to mutate more versions of shit versions of yourself out into the world. So if anything, it's their fucking loss if they're not in our lives. Some of us have parents that have crossed over. um, some of y'all, because my parents haven't crossed over, but some of y'all have parents that have crossed over, and that's not exactly easy either when you had a parent. um and coming to spiritual terms on that is not always easy either. Especially if you don't see life in a spiritual lens or think that life continues. So all of us have different feelings when it comes to our parents, but also like giving thanks to some degree too, because it shows being a bigger person. It's like thanks for giving me this life, even though I may have deserved better, or you deserved better, whatever the circumstances could be, because we wouldn't be here without any of them either. Yeah, I like had some tears in my eyes, Farms. I appreciate it. I always say I'm not a therapist, y'all. If you need therapy, you gotta go seek some fucking help. But I speak from the heart and from experiences, and we've all been through shit. And sometimes we've never had anyone to talk to about it. So it's very heart filling for me to find like-minded individuals and also people that have experienced the same stuff as us and different experiences that can ground us and humble us too along the way. I see a lot of common trends within the chat, and that to me is like no like coincidence to spiritual alignment. But when I speak in here, and I chat with you guys, like it humbles me in a lot of ways too. Like I always like walk away like, wow, I learned a lot. Like I got to like learn a little bit more about said person or about my peeps or my dogs. And what makes them who they are. And sometimes like as we go along the way, there may be like, okay, why is this person doing this, or like are they of it this way, or have they handled life this way. And for all of us to be pretty mindful of one another and be supportive of each other, and not really have as much background knowledge of exactly who our souls are. It's very telling for me, when we get into like the deep conversations of life too, of like, I know I'm like vibing with the right people. Every rock cracks, though. That is true. The video link that you dropped in, I saw you holding the coffee cup. Is it a video, though? I was like, let me get out of here. And it fucking almost shut down my live coming back. I don't know if you can post it on the community room. Okay, but if he's getting A pluses, then he's not that lazy, you know? I feel like we can all be good at many things if you're willing to allow your mind to be good at things and your soul. Because what we were talking about earlier, being your own best friend, if you tell yourself you're not going to be able to accomplish things, and when you're younger, it's a little bit different too. You start at teenage years, like beating yourself up about things and hormones and all that stuff. But you have to be like your own cheerleader. Like you could be good at anything. Most of the time, humans just tell themselves they can't do it because they can't do it. What up, miss? No, I just saw the picture and I was like, who knows? You could be sending me to some crazy website. And then I tried to get back because it took a second to load. I tried to get back and it almost shut down my live. It did shut down the live and I had to try to resume it. And at first it wouldn't. Nope, I'm not clicking it. I'm not clicking it. Put it on my community. I just saw you looking like you were from the show The Office. And it was like, okay, Rim. From like 20 years ago. Yeah, miss. Got a lot of stuff done. So that's always good. And recharge. Definitely got a good recharge in. So that's good. I'm a little hoarse today, though, which is probably obvious. So I need to drink some tea. What's up with you? What'd you do this weekend? I think the link is what I read about on the community if people can put links in there. But I thought Bama put a link on mine at one point for something, a song or something. Oh, I have to see you work the eyebrows. Hold on, let me see. It may try to shut me down though.